2008 was a very difficult year for Gary and me. With the financial crisis and the mortgage meltdown, I lost my job, and Gary's hours were cut to almost nothing. We lost absolutely everything: our home, our cars, and most of our friends. The life that we had worked very hard to build, in what felt like an instant, everything was gone. For the longest time, I believed this to have been the worst year of my life, but it wasn't. In fact, it was actually the catalyst to some major changes in our lives and an opportunity for me to begin a journey of new things that changed who I was. Excuse me. The first chance I took was taking a temporary job at a bank. Now, I had interviewed for this job, gone on several interviews for it, and after budgeting issues and all that, I got the job. And I showed up for work, and the job I had interviewed for, the job I was promised, was not the job that I got. When I walked in on that first day, they showed me the receptionist desk and said, "This is what you'll be doing." Okay. Now, taking this job would have been $20 a week more than I was making on unemployment. So when it came lunchtime, I got in my car, drove home, because it was pretty close to my house, and made a decision: was I going to go back? I mean, $20 a week, not much. I decided to go back, and it turned out that that was the right choice. If I had not gone back and taken that job, I would not have worked with George. I would not have had the opportunity to get to know this man who today I consider as a friend. I would have missed the chance to be the best man at his wedding. I would have missed the chance to have had him as the best man at mine. I would have missed the opportunity to be there to root him on when he graduated from the University of Riverside. I also would have missed the opportunity to celebrate with him and his wife when he called me and said she was pregnant. Okay. Had I not taken this chance, I would have missed out on what has become the best friendship of my entire life. We don't know what opportunities we will miss when we refuse to walk through an open door. Sometimes we do not take chances because our ego says we deserve more. Sometimes we are so blinded by fear and feelings of worthlessness that we don't even see the door. Now, I said 2008 was the worst year of my life, and I was wrong. 2014, as it turned out, was to be my worst year. This was a year full of challenges that I thought I could not survive. And standing here today, I still do not know how I did it. This was the year that Gary and I were finally able to legally marry. So that was a good thing. It was also the year that my mother died. And 3.5 months later, Gary's mother passed away. So it was a year of beginnings and endings. Because of that, I was very much lost spiritually, emotionally, and mentally. And for the longest time, for the greatest part of that year, I literally felt like a black cloud hung over my head, and happiness was very fleeting. I actually had no desire to continue living. And I was not living. Sometime in October of that year, I decided I had to do something. I needed to try something new and get outside of my head and do things I'd never tried, and I needed to learn to live again. So I did what I always do, and I ran to my friend, the internet. And I found Meetup. In one evening on Meetup, I signed up to become members of about 30 groups. Hiking, biking, baking, horseback riding, Toastmasters, you name it. I was desperate to find something that was completely outside of my own box, to do something I was afraid to do, to try something. In that Meetup section, I also saw something about Reiki. Now, I had a little bit of understanding on what Reiki was. Didn't really know what it was, but I'd heard about it. So I sent Reverend Donnell an email, basically to find out if Gary and I would even be welcome. Because in a lot of spiritual centers, we would not be welcome. So the very first thing I did was send that email. And I got a really lovely, wonderful response from her. I was still skeptical. Honestly, I was very skeptical to even come here to Common Ground. I came very close to talking myself out of it. But I took a chance. Gary and I both took a chance, and as they say, the rest is history. Had I not taken the chance to come to Common Ground, I would have missed so many wonderful opportunities. I would have missed the opportunity to become a part of this fantastically eclectic mix of people that I now consider family. I would have missed the opportunity to laugh, cry, and grow with each of you. Missed the opportunity to learn how to openly and freely hug. Now, many of you will remember when I first came here, I was very hugophobic, to the point that Susie used to give me air hugs from across the room. Okay. As most of all, I might have missed the fork in the road, which called me to serve in such a loving, accepting, and generous community. And I might not ever have heard that call that led me to this crazy journey that I'm currently on now to become an interfaith minister. No matter how confident any of us are, each of us hides just a little bit of insecurity. Fear of not being good enough, fear of not being perfect at something, and this fear can keep us from trying something new. We often say we don't like something, not because we know we do or don't, but rather because we fear we will look stupid or we will fail. It is easier to say, I don't like it, rather than to take a chance and decide if we do or don't. So I've shared a couple of stories with you of chances that I've taken in my life and the opportunities that these chances brought into my life. I am sure I have missed just as many because I did not walk through an open door. Yet even the chances not taken brought other opportunities that would not have happened had I turned right instead of left. The truth is, deciding not to take a chance is still taking a chance. So I have one more story to share, and this one involves my work wife. Okay. Growing up, I had one dream. I wanted to be famous. Okay. I thought I'd be a famous singer and a famous actor until puberty kicked in and I couldn't carry a tune. And I realized that I would be in the limelight and for a lot of obvious reasons, did not want to be. I had this strong desire to be creative. So I turned to writing and I wrote short stories, books, poetry. I also professed to be a self-proclaimed art critic. And I had seen lots and lots of abstract paintings that I thought were so easy anybody could do it. So I ran to the art supply store and I bought a cheap set of paints, some brushes, some canvases, took it home, and instantly I was an artist. Okay? Got home, slapped some paint on a canvas, and it was one hot mess. At that point, I realized or made the decision that I was not an artist. I had failed at my first attempt. I was not good. I was done. I no longer liked painting. Period. Okay? So then my work wife, who many of you have heard me talk about, invited me to join her at a painting class. Now, we call it a class, but it's not really a class. You go and you bring your own wine and you sit there and have fun. And you follow along with the instructor, and your creation is your creation. When she first asked me to go, I said no. I didn't like painting. Reverting back to I was horrible at it, so why was I going to do this? And my biggest fear was either making a fool of myself in front of her or in front of this room full of people that I felt were going to be much more talented at painting than I was. But she was pretty persistent, and she kept pushing, and I eventually went. I went and I changed my mind as to how I was going to look at it. Basically, what I decided was that I was going to do this as something that might be fun. It didn't matter what the actual outcome was. I was just going to have fun. And let me tell you, it was. It was very fun. My painting was absolutely not perfect. It didn't even resemble the original. Yet at the end of the night, it did not matter. For 2 hours, I was creating something that no one would ever be able to duplicate, as if they wanted to. Okay? No other person would ever or could ever mix the colors exactly as I had mixed them. Their brush strokes would never be made in the same order or in the same way as I had done. What I had was a unique reminder of how spiritual the act of painting can be. I was truly creating something from almost nothing. Taking the chance allowed me the opportunity to forget who I was, forget the problems of the day, and focus on something that never was to create what could be. I took that chance and learned that painting can be a form of meditation. So many of you in this room know the feeling that I'm speaking about. Some of you are writers, quilters, woodworkers, painters. Some of you are singers and dancers. Others play an instrument or two, while others express their art through a lens. To grow, we must be willing to take a chance and step outside our comfort zone. One of my favorite ideas of all times comes from the TV show Glee, and I admit freely I am a Gleek. I love it. I watch it over and over again. So when you die, your tombstone or your obituary, if you choose to have them, will contain your date of death, birth, and your date of birth. Date of birth and date of death. In between is a dash. Okay? That dash represents the entirety of your life. The dash represents everything between those two dates. How exciting and rewarding that dash is depends on your choices and chances you take. Do not let your insecurities, your fears, or your doubts keep you from experiencing everything that life offers you. Try something new. Say hello to a stranger. Hug someone who needs it. Take a chance and open your life to new opportunities and make that dash worthwhile. And so this week, I offer a challenge to anyone who wishes to accept. Take a chance and do something you have never done before. Something that maybe you wanted to try but thought you would fail. Or maybe take a chance and do something for yourself rather than being concerned with what you can't do for others. We spend a lot of time worrying about what we can't do to help those around us, and sometimes we need to actually do something for ourselves. You might just find a new hobby or meet somebody who changes your life. Just remember, whatever you do, do it with the idea of experiencing something new. Forget about the opinions of others and don't worry if it's perfect. The experience is not in its perfection. It's in the journey to the final product. Thank you for allowing me this opportunity to share a little bit of my story and the truth as I see it. Thank you.